Hello, I'm Lane. Let's talk about solving a word problem with two unknowns using a linear equation. These problems involve, in my opinion, some kind of out-of-the-box thinking. This one says Gabriel's age is 3 times Mikhail's age. So I'm going to make those our two unknowns. I'm going to represent Gabriel's age with G and Mikhail's age with the letter M. This first sentence tells us that G equals 3 times M, right? So we can write that equation. The second sentence says the sum of their ages is 48, and what that means is that G plus M equals 48. And the problem is asking us to find Mikhail's age. So we are going to solve this system of equations for M. Since G equals 3 times M, I could replace this G in the second equation with 3M. And that would make it 3M plus M equals 48, right? Now, 3M plus M is 4M. And we would divide both sides by 4 to solve for M here. M is going to be 12, right? It's 1/4 of 48. So Mikhail's age is 12. This problem has a washer and a dryer. So washer is W, dryer is D. They cost $924 combined. What does that mean? W plus D is 924. The washer costs $74 more than the dryer. This sentence means W equals 74 plus D, right? And if you think about what the washer and the dryer might cost, that should make sense, right? If the dryer was $2, then this equation would tell us that the washer is $76, right? So the washer is more than the dryer. We wouldn't put the 74 on the other side with the W. So that's our second equation. W equals 74 plus D. The problem is asking us what's the cost of the dryer. So we want to combine these two equations, and we want to leave the D in there because that's what we're going to solve for. So if I replace this W right here with 74 plus D, if I take that and put it where the W is, then we would have this equation. 74 plus D, that's replacing the W, and then we have another plus D. And we still have the 924 on the right-hand side. Now we can combine these two terms D. D plus D is 2D. So 74 plus 2D equals 924. Now to solve for D, what should our first step be? Remember PEMDAS? You use PEMDAS starting with parentheses and going down when you are evaluating an expression. When you're solving an equation, you should start from the bottom and go up. So our question here is, what do we need to do to both sides in order to solve this equation for D? We start at the bottom of PEMDAS. Is there subtraction? No. Is there addition? Yes. So we're going to do something with that addition. We're going to leave the D on the left-hand side. We're going to move that 74, right? To move the 74, because 74 is involved in addition, we use the opposite operation of addition. The opposite of addition is subtraction. So if we subtract 74 from both sides, that will cancel out the 74s on the left. 74 minus 74 is 0. And what we'll be left with is 2D equals 924 minus 74. Let's use the calculator for that. 850. Okay. So 2D equals 850. How do we solve for D? What operation do we have here on the left-hand side? It's multiplication, right? 2 is being multiplied by D. So we use the opposite of multiplication, which is division. We divide both sides by 2. And on the left-hand side, we've solved for D. We just have D by itself. On the right-hand side, 850 divided by 2. We could use the calculator for that. I think I could do it in my head. I'm pretty sure that's 425. So the dryer costs $425, and that's what they asked us to find. So that's our answer. Okay, let's do another problem. Okay, this problem has hamburgers and cheeseburgers, so let's go ahead and assign some variables, H and C. It says they sold a combined total of 564 hamburgers and cheeseburgers. That means if we took the number of hamburgers and the number of cheeseburgers and we add them together, the total is 564, right? So H plus C is 564. The second sentence is a little bit more tricky. It says there were 64 more cheeseburgers sold than hamburgers. So we're going to use that sentence to make some equation relating the number of hamburgers to the number of cheeseburgers, right? And that number 64 needs to be involved in that equation because we're building it from that sentence. This sentence tells us that there were more cheeseburgers than hamburgers. There are a couple different ways to set up this equation. I'll show you both of them. We'll have version number 1 over here on the left, and I'm going to make version number 2 over here on the right. One way to set it up would be to say, okay, there were 64 more cheeseburgers. That means the number of cheeseburgers is bigger than the number of hamburgers, right? So if we add 64 to the number of hamburgers, that means, and if it's equal to the number of cheeseburgers, that means that there are more cheeseburgers. I hope that makes sense. For example, if there was 1 hamburger, then there would be 65 cheeseburgers. And this would reflect the information in that sentence, that there were 64 more cheeseburgers. Another way to write this would be like this. Since there were more cheeseburgers than hamburgers, we could write minus 64 on the right-hand side. We could write this equation, I'm sorry, you can't quite see the 4, but we could write H equals C minus 64. And then, for example, if there were 65 cheeseburgers, then there would be 65 minus 64, or 1 hamburger, and still we have 64 more cheeseburgers than hamburgers. So both of those equations will work. And in fact, you could get from this equation to the other one by subtracting 64 from both sides. Let's use this first one. The problem says, how many hamburgers were sold on Thursday? So we are going to try to we're going to combine these equations and we're going to try to leave the variable h in there. What that means is we need to substitute for the variable c. Since c equals h plus 64, we can write h plus 64 instead of c. So combining these two equations, we would get h plus, what is c? C is equal to h plus 64. So h plus 64 equals 564. Now h plus h is 2h, right? Our first step for solving for h should be to subtract 64 from both sides, because subtraction is lower down on the list in PEMDAS than the other operation here on the left-hand side, which is this multiplication. We start with the subtraction because it's lower on this list. If we subtract 64 from both sides, on the left we'll have 2h. On the right, 564 minus 64 is 500, right? 2h is 500. That means h is 250. 250 hamburgers. Awesome. Let's do one more problem. I'm not sure how to say this name. I know it's not, but I'm going to call it Huilan. Huilan's age is 2 times Thomas's age. I'm going to represent this one with an H, this one with a T, and this first sentence says Huilan's age is 2 times Thomas's age. Is means equals, 2 times means 2 times, so H equals 2 times T. That's our first equation. We got that from the first sentence. The next sentence gives us another equation. The sum of their ages is 21, so H plus T is 21, right? That's what sum means. What is Thomas's age? All right, since H is 2T, we can replace this H right here by 2T. So if we combine these two equations, we could write 2T plus T equals 21. So I hope you see how I replace the H by 2T. Now on the left-hand side, we can add these two together. 2T plus T, that's 3T. 3T equals 21. What is T? It must be 7, right? Because 3 times 7 is 21. So Thomas's age is 7. Excellent. I hope that this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'm going to put some links to other videos in this objective up here. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.